everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Corner Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got an excellent guest here. Please welcome Sadie Katz. How are you doing, Sadie?
Good. Now I have to live up to that.
I know.
On a hat.
I'm sure you can. You know.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, definitely. So I was watching the Bill Murray Experience last night again. I've seen it before, and I really enjoyed it. Mainly because I enjoyed you in it. Like it felt like you like watching a day in the life of not day, it was days in the life of Sadie Katz.
That about sums it up. I do tend to live a little bit ridiculously in a good way. But yeah, that was I'm fixing my lighting here. So that was the one thing when I made the doc, it's like searching for Bill Murray, but it's like as we were filming, I was going through so much turmoil that it did become more about my story and how the doc was changing me and what I was learning. But there was a little bit of like trepidation or just like concern. I'm like, well, if people don't like me, they're not going to like this documentary. So I have had some people comment who I don't know. I'm not their cup of tea, that they thought I was obnoxious, but I'm like, well,
you're what? I'm sorry. Like, for some reason the Zoom keeps messing up a little bit. It's not your fault. I think it's literally just the internet connection, and it's raining outside, so who knows? But you were saying, so people think that you were what?
Well, it's just funny. I'm like, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from it. Obviously, it did really well, but every now and then I'll read like a review online and I'm like, ouch, because it's not like acting where, acting, you're like, okay, you don't like the character, what I did with it. But with this, I'm like, you don't like me.
Well,
I guess you don't like me.
I mean, if they don't like you, they don't like you. Those are the people that, like, I don't know. I just say fuck those people, because like I've had to get to a point, because I used to be like that, where I cared what everybody thought, about me and everything, and I had to please everybody, so if this person didn't like me, or whatever, like if I could have like a million good reviews, but if like one person said one bad thing about me, I took that to heart, and everything, and I've used it to sort of a good advantage of like, okay, well, these people don't like this about me or something. Maybe I could change. Now that, I guess that's different with you, because that was you. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to change for somebody's opinion.
Yeah, like acting sometimes, I mostly get very nice, people say nice things or nice reviews. They get horror films and things when I'm doing, horror. But it's funny, sometimes sometimes like I've gotten like people write really mean things, and I'm like, well, you tell me how to play a devil possessed person who wants to like have sex with everyone. Like, what's your version of that? Because that's my version. Like, if you have another version that you think's better, that's great. So I don't really get, I kind of get a kick out of it on a certain level, because I know that means someone has to log onto their computer and spend a lot of time thinking about you. And that's it's like all these armchair quarterbacks who are like, they're not doing it themselves, so they have no idea. But I would rather have 100 reviews, even if they're bad, than as it's kind of hard to get people to put reviews on your stuff, and you want a lot of reviews so your algorithms go up and you get, you show up in the scroll more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, as an actor, all you got to think about is like, did I do a good enough job for what the director had in mind for me? So when you hear the reviews, you can probably look at the director and go, hey, That was your fault. That wasn't me. You told me
I
I did a good
agree.
job.
I always feel like I come on set, I do my job, I do the best as I can. I try to give 150%. And then after that, you kind of just like, you release it because you're like the editing, the sound, the color design. And like, I don't know if the DP had great lighting on me. And as you know, like, I can go from a supermodel if the lighting's amazing, not a supermodel, but very attractive, to like a white trash Barbie very quickly. If you don't like me, like all of a sudden I have these really dark circles and things. So by the time I see it, like I go to the movie screening and see it, it sort of like doesn't belong to me anymore, like that version of what I did. So if it's like looks bad, I go, well, like I don't know what to tell you, kid. Like that's what it was. I don't really get as offended because you're right. I just think, well, boy, they didn't know what the hell they were doing in post or
Or
and
yeah, or even directing, because like sometimes, especially if like they're new directors,
oh yeah,
they don't they don't necessarily know how it's really going to all come together, when it gets finished. So like, I mean, you're pretty much just putting in the hands of like, hopefully somebody's going to make it work,
right. And
but
you could kind of tell with like, I've had really good directors and I've had some that like you could tell, and it's not my job to tell them how to do their job, just my job to show up, do a good job and then get paid and listen to the director. And sometimes you could tell that a director doesn't have like a consistent vision. Don't you
mhm.
think? Like this is something that I'm sure you're on the same page, is a lot of directors that are new don't understand that their number one job is beyond telling a story is to keep the same story going,
Mhm.
same, you know, style. And so sometimes they're doing a scene that they're like, oh, this scene's really funny and I'm going to do this quirky stuff, and this scene's really dark and serious, and they don't understand it, that that's their bigger job, is to keep the tone and hopefully to remind me as an actor, like, you've been here, let's, we've got to, this next scene we want here. Or so I think that's like a lot of what I kind of, it's not my job to come in and tell someone that maybe they don't know what they're doing because they're learning too. But, you know,
Well, and I've had friends who are actors who tell me like that they've actually stepped in and said something to the director, like this isn't going to look good, or and you know what, as a director, I'm okay with it to an extent,
right.
like if it like I'll use an example. We shot a short film recently, and somebody would be like, "Oh, that's not going to work because of like a continuity issue," right? And stuff like that. And I might not be thinking about that at that particular moment as the director. I might just be thinking about like the specific shot, or
Right.
whatever. So when somebody comes up and says, "Oh, well, that's not going to look good because of this or this," and they tell me that, I'm okay with it. But some directors, they don't want you to tell them, anything. They want you to just do
Yeah.
your job and whatever. And you know what? God bless them. But I feel like directors should listen more to, people if it's really helping. Now, if somebody takes over the project and starts directing for the director, that's a different story.
Or directing other actors. Like sometimes someone will come in and start coaching the actor, and you're kind of, I will say this though, I think actors are better if you don't have a scripty who's on top of it. They're better at like continuity because I know which cup I know which hand I held the cup in.
Right.
I'm kind of paying attention to that, or I know my wardrobe, or like there's things like that I do, I will say. And I have had a couple of cases where I'm like, hey, can we talk like privately, where, it's like a new director and they're doing these long takes. And I'm going, you can't do it minute take because then we're running out of battery, and you got it, like maybe their script isn't properly divided, so they're squishing scenes. And I'm just like, that's not how you do film unless it's that way. But most of the time it's pretty good, right?
Right. Yeah,
Right.
well, it should be, especially you live out in LA, so you probably do a lot more films actually out in LA. And LA is expensive to
Right.
begin with. And so generally speaking, if you're gonna actually make a movie in LA, you should already have your all your shit together, like it shouldn't be something,
Okay, Jonathan, I have to say this too, and people don't know this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so here is the deal with LA. Whenever I film out of state or definitely out of the country, the people are in it for the right reasons, the filmmakers. So they're fucking passionate, and they've been like, most of the time they've been working on this, and they actually do the proper channels of getting a casting director and having money secured, even if it's a low budget thing. In LA, I feel like a lot of times you have directors that like they're thinking about the red carpet before, like, and they also love to film. Like they love to be on set. And so they don't get done with the project forever. When they do, you're like, that was really sloppy. Like you didn't do the color correction and you didn't do the sound. But a lot of times when people are out of state or out of the country, like they've waited years to make this film. Like they really have. So I'm sorry, I'm like a drug trail here, but I'm like, I'm an acid trip. They definitely, I do feel like I get more excited. I mean, I like filming on location, but I get more excited when I'm shooting elsewhere. The LA thing can be great, or it can just be like the ego. And you're right, it's expensive to live here. So you have a lot of angst. Like what happens is a lot of people show up on set already over budget, or they're already like it's the idea, if you go into an audition and you need it because you're broke or something, like the odds of you getting it are slim. It's the same way when you're filming, if you're that kind of stress. And that's a problem. It's so expensive right now. Oh my God. Well, New York's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What part of New York are you in?
Oh, I'm not in New York. I'm in Virginia.
See, I would be more excited if somebody said, you want to come to Virginia and
right?
Play a hillbilly. I'm just kidding. No, but play a cannibal.
Wait, haven't you already done that?
Yeah, I was gonna say Virginia. But I mean, I would be more excited because I would be like, this is this person's number one thing that they have going on. They're flying me out, they're doing all this. So it's probably going to be much better prepared than in LA, where it's hit or miss. For some people, I'm like, why don't you have a call sheet for the day one? Like, that should be the first thing. Like you start off with the call sheet. If you already don't have that by day one, unless there's crazy reasons, it's going to be a rough shoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, definitely. So yeah. Well, have you always lived in LA?
I've lived in California, and I came from Orange County. Orange County is about like an hour, 45 minutes I'd say an hour away, over by like Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm. I moved.
Yeah. I was there in Orange County a few, I don't know, maybe a little less than a year ago, because I was living in LA. I was living in Pasadena. So I'm kind of sad we never got to like meet up or anything.
I know. Is that weird?
Well, COVID fucking hit, and like shit got really, like I wanted to hang out with so many people, and like things just didn't really work out. But I went to Orange County, and I fucking love it there. Like,
well, okay, what part of Orange County?
The beach. Like, oh, that's all I know.
Yeah, so that's the secret, is that like Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, those are all beautiful. And where I came from is like white trash, Orange County, where like it looks like Reseda in the valley. Like there's nothing going on. But I lived in Newport Beach. I lived in Huntington Beach when I was older. Gorgeous. Long Beach is a funky town, but OC's like clean. The beaches are clean. It's family. You've got like bros and family. Whereas like what beach is nice in LA? Malibu has rocks and it's
Yeah. Malibu is like, yeah, I was surprised to see like it wasn't what I expected when I went out there. But I will say, was it Malibu or was the other one like um
Santa Monica
Santa Monica? I'm trying to think if it was one of those.
or
Uh
Venice. Venice
I,
is very dirty. It's ruined now. It used to be so cool.
Venice is, yeah, I don't, there was a, which one was the one? There was a dog beach. It was like Rosie's Dog Beach or something.
Oh, I don't think I've been there, but I think I
But
know.
it's like, I think um it's
It's
in
it's in
Venice or
Malibu.
is it Malibu? No, it's Long Beach.
Mm.
So it's on Long Beach. It was
Oh, I
nice.
have
Like,
been there. I saw a dog do the most disgusting thing in the water ever. From drinking all the salt water. That's right. This
oh my
dog turned
goodness.
around, big old dog, and just shats in the most insane, sprang into the ocean, and everyone went. But that Long Beach is, at least Long Beach is kind of funky, and there's some fun. I'll tell you, a lot of people don't know this, and it's so crazy. Manhattan Beach is the best beach besides Laguna Niguel, I would
I don't know
say.
if I've been there yet or not.
Oh my God. Well, it's because Manhattan Beach used to be a sleepy beach town, and now it's very, 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 very rich. Like you could live, Beverly Hills isn't as expensive as Manhattan Beach.
Oh
And
wow.
there's these huge mansions along the Strand, but the way the sun sits there, it's fucking magical. And they have all these like, trippy they have all these cute little shops, and it's definitely an expensive area, but a lot of people don't think to go there. They call Manhattan Beach the bubble because people who are in Manhattan Beach tend to stay in Manhattan Beach. Like they don't leave because there's no reason to leave Manhattan Beach. It's got everything, and you're like protected in this fortress. And a lot of people don't think to go to the beach there, but next time you come back, Manhattan Beach.
I'm planning to come back in January for my 40th birthday. I was like, I just, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to do, but because of COVID, I wasn't able to do. And then I started realizing while I was living there that this is a nice place to visit or to like touristy kind of thing sometimes. But like living there, unless I'm doing like acting full time and I'm already being like offered jobs like constantly, it's no there's no reason to live there, or something. Or writing and directing, like you have to already be established, to really, or like work your way up, or whatever. So it's kind of difficult, to live
I
there.
mean, I every week I used to not be like this, but I think well, first the homelessness a few years ago in LA started to increase. We went from having a, a sizable homeless population to it just taking over everything. Like, and it was really bad during COVID, and now what's his face, the horror. Um, I don't know how I could forget him because he's the worst. Como. Not, yeah.
Newsom or
Newsom, God, yeah, Newsom. Sorry. He's just the worst ever. And he's really destroyed Los Angeles. And now he's like trying last minute to like pick up the pieces. And I don't know where he's hiding the homeless, but they're being hidden. But during COVID, I was like, once they closed everything, you kind of go, oh, I don't know why I live here, except our weather is like, I'm complaining about the heat and it's like a perfect 80 degrees.
oh, is it right now? Because I like a few days ago it was like 100, right? Like in something.
Maybe. I mean, I did stay in the last few days with the air conditioning on. The only reason it's off right now is because I didn't want you not to hear. And I put salmon on the stovetop and forgot. And I don't, because I was getting ready, and the entire house, you can almost see like the dust rays them in to be Moody. Moody.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, my fiance and I keep talking all the time about moving out of LA because now all the auditions are taped.
Mm-hmm.
I work just as much out of state or country as I do in. And it's sort of like, I feel like you have a lot of local hire opportunities. So maybe you don't get as many, but when you do, they tend to be better projects.
Yeah. And one of the things like I wanted to like when I was when I wanted to live there was because like a lot of my friends live there, and I felt, oh man, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna be able to hang out with this person's. Nope.
So,
Everybody's so fucking busy, and with COVID, it just like it fucking shut everything down. But like,
isn't that crazy? You know,
yeah,
I have friends that live in LA that I'm really close to. I talk to on the phone, and they live like 15 minutes away. I'm not joking, like 20
right.
minutes away. And I talk to them a lot, and we're on social media a lot, but I'll realize like I see these fuckers like 4 times a week. So like one of my best friends, and I mean 4 times a year. And I'm like, we go months. Everyone's it's a little bit different since things are opening back up. Priorities are changing a little bit. But yeah, it's the land of like, you're juggling. Everyone's got to hustle, and then that makes other people hustle more. And it's also the land of people flaking. Like I hated that I had to reschedule with you because of family stuff,
Mhm.
because people do like there's a rule, like if I make lunch plans with someone and they flake by the third time, they're out. like
Right.
it's not going to happen. And even if it does, I'm like, do I want to put time into a friendship that like it took this long to even see them? So yeah.
It's funny. One of my friends, she's like a really close friend who I've had since like 2014. She's been, my co-host on my radio show and stuff. She was messaging right before I went to visit, right? Just to visit, check out Burbank and see if that was where I wanted to live. Didn't live there, but if I ever do move, that's where I want to live.
Oh great.
But yeah, so I was like, I want to kind of check it out. And so I said, hey, you want to, and she was telling me before, one of the things that she hated was that all her friends always flaked on her. Like they'll be like, oh, I have to do this, audition, or I've got a job, I got to take this job, whatever. Right. And so she would hate that because because nobody will ever actually hang out. She did that to me the day before we met up. She was like, "I hate doing this, but I did get this job." And I said, and I told her like, cuz I had told her before, I was like, "I'm okay if you got a job, take it." Like
Right.
I mean, I get it. But like yeah, you're right. Like 3 or 4 times that people can't show up, there's obviously that their priorities are on other stuff other than you, and everything.
Right. And it's a competitive area because everyone's like, everyone's grasping, they think for the same straw, but I'm always like, those straws are there. There's a straw for everyone, but some people get them quicker, or they're just on a good string. But sometimes it's like, if you're on a good, or it looks like you're on a really good run, a lot of times you'll notice that people who are also in the industry will cancel on you because they have, there's a little jealousy, or they don't have anything going on. I mean, it's really a place for like, you do start to, the older I get, actually, the more I start to realize like, the only people that I want to pursue a friendship with are people that like, when I say something cool is going on, like, oh, I'm doing this film or something, that they'll like call me up and be excited, and they can share, like they're excited for me because those are the ones who are my friends. Or in a really petty way, I can look at my Instagram. I'm talking about women and go, this woman never likes anything. And she's supposed to be a really good friend of mine. It's like, it's a funny thing, but it is true. You don't need cheerleaders here, but you do want people that like aren't hung up on that. But you're right
That
about
have your
her.
back, like I get it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It-
Or, that they have your back and like you don't want to only be talking about the business because that does get obnoxious. And
mhm.
that's a lot of what people talk about. But it is complicated. You just want someone who's like at least cheering you on and on your team, isn't secretly wishing that you fail. So yeah.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of people say like LA is probably one of the most loneliest cities because everybody's flaking, or because like things, people are so busy with other stuff, they don't have time for you, and so you're kind of alone a lot, and honestly, I was fine with it.
Yeah.
I actually had the best times when my roommate went out to see her boyfriend, you know, because then I could just be by myself and the dogs and be completely okay,
Well, you're a
like
writer too, right?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like, or the writer in me just loves that because it's solitude. I can write in peace. I don't have to deal with, like I don't like loud noises and people talking and other shit going on when I'm writing, you
Yeah,
know.
no radio, no TV in the background. Like also, like if I'm writing, I don't really actually Miles is away in Alaska doing like a true crime show. So I've been writing and like if I'm working at home, there's like no you can hear the sound of like a fan, but I don't like the house is pretty quiet. I'm a chatty person, so I need downtime, especially if I'm writing. And I'm a dirty person when I write. Like if I'm on a real like spin on it, I'll wake up and like crawl to, I have a skincare routine. I brush my teeth and I take a shower every day. I'm a very clean person. But if I'm writing, I'll like literally just like get out of bed, pour coffee, just sit there and I'm like, and then it's 5 in the afternoon and I'm like, I haven't even gone and peed yet. Like, what am I doing? But I have this thing that I think if I get up and move, then I won't sit my ass back down. Like, because writing is sort of 90% of it sometimes is just the commitment that you're not getting up till the pages are done, your goal of pages.
Well, do you write scripts or do you write like novels or anything?
I write scripts. So I've had a couple screenplays produced, which was cool. And I do write. Sometimes I get on like a kick where I'm writing like short stories, or I was doing this thing where I was doing storytelling. I don't know if you have that there, but people tell like, intimate stories or funny stories, and then they get up and they kind of, it's like a 10-minute story of, uh, you know, I don't know, the scariest thing they witnessed as a kid, and everyone gets up, and it's normally a theme night, so it's called something like something wicked this way comes, and whatever that is to you. So it's fun because you get to hear all these amazing stories from people. So I write those, but screenplays I do feel like are just, I are just like rewriting a scene over and over. So that's for me, it's like I want to sit for 5 hours for a couple pages because I want those pages to be like, perfect.
Right.
So I can be a little obnoxious.
Well, that's what I liked about the Bill Murray experience. Like watching that, it felt like there was no like writing. Everything was just like real, like whatever was going on in your life at that time, pick up a camera and started filming it. And to me, that's really cool, like that you can make an hour and 20-minute movie out of just this, this experience, that you're having yourself, like, and going through. And I thought it was amazing. Like,
Oh,
I feel
thank
like
you.
more people should watch it, honestly.
I know. I thank you. I mean, it was my biggest regret is I did so much pre-promotion and then hired this publicist who was awful through Gravitas, who was so expensive. I can't even whatever you imagine, she was beyond the price of like a used car.
Oh,
But
wow.
she did a terrible job. But if I could go back, what I would have done is got people to review it on iTunes and on Rotten Tomatoes. Because what's really crazy is there's like 3 reviews and it shows like 1.5 stars because, like, a couple of nice people and then a couple of real assholes. So, but people don't know that. They just like Google it and then they see, oh, it has 2.5 stars, and they don't open it and see, well, it's only got like 6 reviews. So
Right.
I do have a little bit of like, I'm glad that people are watching it more now. Look at this. Look at this dog.
What's your dog's name?
Buffy.
Buff.
She's
Oh.
Buffy the cat slayer. Look at this. She's a
Oh.
lover, not a biter, which is a lie because she likes to bite my nose every morning. Look at this.
She looks like she's trying to bite you right now.
Look at
That's
this.
funny.
Um,
That's so
so
cute.
thank you. I'm obsessed with her because
I
I'm by myself a lot because Miles leaves and I'm for work.
That's the same thing here. I'm back here in Virginia, and we got a dog, a little toy poodle, and I love him to death. But he joins me sometimes in my podcasts and everything, and he's like the sweetest dog in the world. But
How
like,
big is he?
he's like that big, you know.
Oh, I love these small, like people
Yeah.
think I'm ridiculous with the small dog, but like
Oh,
I
they're adorable.
don't shit of a bigger dog anyway. See people with these big dogs, and I'm like, ew.
I mean, I love dogs of all size.
Right.
I don't care. I've had Doberman Pinschers, I've had Labradoodles,
Oh wow. So
I've
yeah.
yeah, I've had everything, any size, whatever. I prefer probably smaller dogs right now because they're just easier to walk, and this one just goes out to the bathroom and
Well, that
comes
one's
right back in.
smart.
You know,
This one's smart but stubborn. So, like potty training her, when I first got her, she was like, I'm talking so little.
smaller.
Yes. And I was like, what am I going to do with this fucking dog? She was so cute, but she was so out of control. Because she's, a Chihuahua mixed with something else. And even now she requires a lot of training, a lot. She's almost 6 months old, so she's almost about to get fixed. But yeah, she's just wants to do what she wants to do. And
Yeah.
so sometimes she pees and poops outside. Other times she likes to run through the house and like it's literally dangling off of her ass. And she's really upset about it. So yeah, this is only my second dog and it's my first puppy.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm not like I swear because I'm older. My son's grown. He's 20. And so now I'm that person who's like, posting way too many pictures of my dog online. And I think I have more pictures of her than I have of like my son from when he was. They didn't have smartphones in my defense.
No. When they're 20 years ago, the smartphones were like a thing you probably saw on like a sci-fi channel,
I know. And you know what else is 20 years ago when I had my son, MySpace had come out. And people did not put pictures of their kids online.
Mm-mm.
It was
No.
like, right? It was like taboo and weird. If you saw like MySpace, people were still putting pictures of like people vomiting and like their party cups. And like, we didn't curate the version of us on MySpace. We curated the music. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like the music that played and like the little designs. And that's what kind of fucked up MySpace because it made the page load so slowly. But we didn't like, I have pictures. Do you know you can look up your old MySpace page and it's still there?
I I did that somewhat recently. I looked it up, but just to see if it was still there. I don't even remember the login information. I don't remember the what is it, the emails that I used back then, because a Gmail wasn't even a thing. I don't think, like, much. I used like Hotmail. Yeah,
AOL,
yeah,
AOL or Yahoo.
yeah, Yahoo. I did a Hotmail. I was a Hotmail guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I
Did
liked
you have a
Hotmail.
BlackBerry? Were you a BlackBerry?
I did own a BlackBerry later when everybody was had like iPhones. I had a BlackBerry, I still had a flip phone till I was like till like 2018 or something, like, because I didn't care about. And now, like, it's the best thing in the world. Like, I mean, I'm on the fucking phone all the freaking time.
No.
I shouldn't be, but I'm on the phone so much. And I almost feel like I want to get a flip phone again so
I
that I can be
know.
off the
I want a home phone with an answering machine. Like my mother-in-law, my future mother-in-law, I went to go play cards with her and her 80-year-old friend. They're old Jewish ladies. And I'm sitting there playing cards at the house and I hear ring, ring. And I'm like, is that a phone?
it's a
And then
landline.
I was like, whoa. Yeah, I mean, if I could put money in any stock right now, because obviously I miss the Bitcoin craze, I would put it in carpal tunnel syndrome. Like whatever, some kind of treatment for that, because my prediction is like our generation, right?
Right.
I'm only a little bit older than you, mister.
I'm
Our
pretty sure
generation
you are. Yeah, only a little bit older.
is going to have so many problems, and so are the other kids. Like we're all, because the other day I was like, fuck, my hand is like here hurting, and I'm Googling it and it's like carpal tunnel, but I'm looking
Yeah.
like this is all day. And then the texting, and you do this and you look down. I even read, I was like seeing that, oh, why am I having this on my face? And I read that if you're looking down all the time, you're not using this muscle. Like we're killing ourselves by these damn phones.
I will say, like, I mean, I think I might have. I think it was a thing with sleeping wrong, but my neck's been hurting, so I don't know.
It's the phone. Watch. It's like your shoulder. Do you remember when you were a kid and your shoulder would get cramped up? Maybe you're a boy, so this didn't happen because you'd have your phone and you'd be like, oh God, look, I have muscle memory of that. Carry your phone around and the cord would get wrapped around. You
Oh my
wouldn't do
goodness.
it this way. You would always, like, you always have one ear you favored. And then when I was really a kid, it would like beep and you wouldn't want to get off the phone and your mom would find out that you didn't like switch over. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then
what were you saying?
I was just saying like you would get in so much trouble for it.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my grandma, like, I would go to Florida and visit my grandma, and she had one of those rotary phones, I think is what they're called, the ones that go like that, and you had to, and the kids these days would be like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, nobody knows because it's nobody sees those things anymore.
And they were heavy as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah. They were so heavy, but like also you had a phone when you were a kid, you had a phone that like defined who you were. Like you had to have the lipstick phone, or I remember we had a Darth Vader phone. It rang, it would go, I am your father.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's not Luke, I am your father. It's just I am your father, right? Yeah. So, and it was like stand up. And then I had, we had the pink wall phone. And then remember when it became really new age to have the clear phone with all the wires, different colors inside.
Oh, Jesus, man, you're bringing me back.
I know. Sorry. Like,
no,
I'm
it's
walking BuzzFeed article of like the late 90s.
Well, it's funny because 90s are in right now. Like that's the thing. I think it's every 10 years, like what was like 30 years ago is in, because like last 10 years ago it was 80s. Everybody was all talking about the 80s. There's 80s remakes. Now there's 90s remakes coming, or whatever. Scream's getting remade, sort of, whatever. And then,
How dare
uh,
they? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's, it's just it's just it is what it is with Hollywood. They're like, oh well, now the kids are like 30 years old. It's old
Right.
enough. Let's remake it.
And
Uh,
I forget that too, that they're watching it. But, kids aren't going to the movies like they used to.
right.
I mean,
No.
even before quarantine, because it's so, I mean, out here, I take my son to the movies and, the tickets, by the time the tickets are done, you've spent like $35. Then you get the popcorn and the Coke and then the candy. And then now they serve food. I remember the last time I did like a theater sit down, I spent like $110.
Jesus.
Is that crazy?
No, it is.
It was like the movies used to be cheap. I used to, as a kid, go to $2 movie theater. They had the late movies. You get like $2 movie, $1 popcorn, $1 Coke,
Nice.
and ride your bike over. See, I'm really like now kids Uber. They Uber, and you're right. The 90s are back because I was driving and I'm in my convertible and I see all these teenagers and I'm like, why are they wearing those big fucking baggy pants? And they're like cinched around the waist and they're just so, and they have like the little crop tops. And all I could think is, oh my God, it's like, yeah, it's the 90s, 100%. And I'm like, if Crisscross comes back,
I was just gonna say that. I was
right?
about to say that. Holy cow!
The
Unfortunately,
ship is backwards.
they can't come back. Unfortunately, one of them passed away.
No, did they OD of like a drug
I don't
overdose?
think so. I don't remember what his thing was, but I know. Hold on, let me look this up real quick. I know one of them. I don't know which Chris it was. Um,
Well, one of the
uh,
Milli Vanillis died too. Blame it on
okay,
the
Chris
baby.
Kelly, one half of the 890s rap duo Crisscross died of. You're right, drug overdose.
Well,
Damn.
look at how well same thing happened with Milli Vanilli. One of them died, one of the brothers died of a drug overdose. But I mean, Crisscross, I just assume that because they were so insanely famous and their clothes and everything. And then you never hear about them anymore. And I think a lot of people just can't handle being in the spotlight like that and then not being in the spotlight.
When I was in when I was in LA, I was door dashing, and I was in Pasadena area and I had to wait for the people to get done making the food, right? So I was waiting outside and this homeless guy came up to me and started talking to me, right? And he asked for cash. I think I had some on me, so I was like, "Yeah, here you go." And I was like, he was like, "Do you like rap music?" And I was, like right? And he was like, I'm a big time rapper." And
Oh,
this guy, and so I was like, "Oh, okay, who are you?" And he was like, "Ghostface Killer." And I was like, "Oh, I don't think Ghostface Killer is begging for change in the
I'm like, isn't
you
that a
know
pretty big rapper? Like,
yeah, I think he's all right.
yeah,
you
like
know
white girl me even knows, like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and so I just let him be, like, if you want to be Ghostface Killer, go right ahead. Like
May have like rapped in the background or something with him. But it's funny. So I live in Silver Lake and like Silver Lake Atwater Village, which is right East LA, which is kind of it's very hipster. And a lot of times I see really good looking homeless people. Like the men are like super ripped and they've got the square jaw, and the women you could tell maybe were pretty. And I'm always like, is that a person who came here to be an actor and they just got like lost in the shuffle?
I think so, because I've seen a few like really good looking people, period, like guys and girls. And I feel terrible. Like, I mean, We tried doing stuff where like we would hand out clothes to the homeless, homeless, and help out for this company called Shine is Light Ministries.
Oh,
So me and my roommate would do, pass out clothes and do nice things. Um, down in like Skid Row, where it was really bad too,
yeah.
area. But we would try to help people out, and we get it, but like it sucks because you see all these people and you really like I'd want to help every single one of them out if I could, but
Right.
unfortunately it's just there's just too many, like in Virginia, like in the town I'm in Williamsburg, there's like no homeless people. Like there's like one or two people, and so it's like if you see them you really feel badly, but and you can probably help them get to like a shelter or something, but aside from that, you know what I mean? Like there's not really much.
Well, in
Yeah.
LA, got the thing is, I used to be like that. I used to give money. When I smoked, I would give a couple cigarettes. I'd be like, here you go. Here's
Oh, you
one.
don't smoke anymore?
I smoke cloves sometimes, but like very, it depends. If I will say every now and then I have some wine and then I get on like a chain smoking, but I normally don't smoke cigarettes. I do love it, but I actually kind of stopped loving it. Like it wasn't that hard for me to quit, but I would do that anyway through the years. I would like smoke for a couple months, don't not smoke. Socially, I like to smoke because a lot of times people bore the fuck out of me, and the smokers are like really fun and cool, and they're like
Yeah.
talking outside. So that's a bad habit. But the thing is about the homeless is I it got so overwhelming, and the homeless got so much with the fentanyl and the opiates and crystal meth, and that like there was a part of me that was like callous, and they wouldn't take food. So before, if they asked me for money, I would come out and give them like an apple and a sandwich from the grocery store. And I can't tell you how many times they would like I did that, and I finally stopped, where they were like, I don't need this. I'm not hungry. I need money. Or worse is I would be like, here, I got $1 because I don't carry cash.
Right.
I'm a girl. We hardly ever carry cash. But I would give them money and they'd be like, that's all. That's all. Only $1. So our homeless they're just like the rest of LA. They're entitled. And we started having them. This was so bad during COVID. You would walk down the street because I live by all these little bars and boutiques and things. And it just like sprawled out, like no blanket, no pillow, just this very large, obese, homeless person. So you're like, he must be eating somewhere. And
Right.
and you're just like, my girlfriend and I are walking and we're talking, and because that's so normal, we just like each took like a step and like stepped around, and then it was a few minutes before I looked at her and I said, isn't that crazy that we just did that? And like we didn't even have a conversation about it, or like poor guy or nothing. But I've seen so many people in where I live, and it's a nice area. Shit. I've seen a lot of people or
Oh,
naked. I've said shit twice in this conversation. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, it's
I
fine.
the dog's shitting that. So it is a thing where it wears you down, and it's it's sad because, but it's also because you're like, sometimes I think like these people, their families aren't around because they probably have been addicts for a long time,
Mm.
and they burned all their bridges, and they don't want help. We do have a lot of facilities. They don't want to quit because they're addicts, and you know
I have one last funny story. Then we probably got to wrap it up because I know you've got a place to go
don't
to and
wrap it
everything.
up. We were having a damn good time, Jonathan.
Okay, okay. But so I was driving because me and my roommate got a job doing Lifetime, like extra work on Lifetime. And so we were going to go get tested down in I don't maybe it was Venice Beach or something, or whatever, someplace. Maybe it was no, it was downtown LA. That was it. It wasn't even the beach. It was the downtown LA. And we were going down and we see this guy walking by in the middle of the road. Just we thought asking for money or asking for whatever. So my roommate goes, here, she hands me a water bottle, right, to hand to the guy. So I hand it to him, like, here you go, sir. And he picks up the water and goes, like slams it down on the ground. And we're just like, okay.
Like, where do you, that's LA, like our homeless, especially, let me tell you, downtown, I never give them anything because they have this culture that like they all take care of each other. They're fine. They love their, like people in downtown, a lot of them love being homeless downtown, and downtown still is, they haven't fixed that up. It's still overrun, like in a crazy way. In fact, that's who's kind of on the street now, because downtown cleared out during the BLM riots. And so there's not a lot of, it was kind of getting gentrified and metropolitan, and now it's only homeless people. So when you're there, you're like,
yeah. I remember that. I there's things like I loved being in LA for one reason, is like it felt good being there, like every
oh,
time I was there, I felt like at home, and
yeah.
everything. So I did feel that way. And it's funny, I guess I've lived in Virginia like almost all my life anyway, that it just never, I never felt that way, because I think because I've lived, because I was
Because
born
of
and raised.
entertainment and acting, I'm sure.
Yeah, the creative like vibes, energy, all of that stuff. Just I could feel it, I could feel it the day I first visited and I was in the Uber going to Burbank. I was like, this is like this is it. Like I can already feel like
Uh,
that thing. And I miss it in a way, but then like I was saying earlier, it's something like when I feel like I'm more comfortable living there, like I've got like a sustainable, like I don't suggest anybody moving there without at least like $10,000 saved up, if not more, you
God.
know.
Well, you got to have first, last, and you should have 6 months
Yeah,
to
to a
to
year,
figure it
probably.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a year, then you're asking someone to come with like, 50,000, 30,000. I mean, right now rent is dropping. So, but I felt the same way the first time I went to New York when I was 13. I remember like having that same feeling like I was supposed to live there. Like, and unfortunately, New York isn't New York as much anymore. But I do know for years, I always visit New York, and I've always felt like something clicked for me there that, I've never lived anywhere but California. So I'm kind of, I, I'm anxious to try out somewhere else. But I think like, I would think, oh, I'll move to Virginia and have a big farm with chickens. And everyone I know is like, you would never do that, Sadie. You would do it for like 3 months and then you would be crying, going, I gotta get out of here.
Well, acting is your passion, and I can tell like that is your love, and I always tell people, if you don't love it, like if this is not something you really enjoy doing, don't do it. Because, or I mean, you can do it, you can try it, but like don't plan that this is going to be your thing. Like a lot of people I think try to get into acting or film in some way or another because they think it's a get rich quick scheme.
Oh God.
No, no, not
It's
at
a
all.
get poor, stay poor, get money, watch the money fade. Have some ups where you're like, for sure it's going to be okay. And then you spend a lot. People don't realize it's a small business. You're an actor, that's your small business. So you're constantly putting money in. But yeah, I agree. I'm like, unless you're going to, not even passionate, unless you can't move on with your life because you want it so bad and you
Right.
accepted that you could be really poor or you could not be, then why the fuck would you be in entertainment? It's such a tough job. I mean, it's not like brain surgery, but it's so much rejection and it's a lot of crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's a lot of like false starts. I spent 6 months trying to get money for film finance, and then last minute the money falls out, and you're just like,
I
oh my
It's
god.
a scary thing, especially with my like I don't know. I get worried all the time that like something's gonna happen, like at the last minute, the 0 hour. We would run like Indiegogo campaigns, and like at the 0 hour, somebody pulls $10,000 out. They're like, never mind. I need that money for whatever, and you're screwed. Because like that was you needed that $10,000 for your $15,000 movie you were planning to make, like it's
And
just
it's
ridiculous.
always the person who says, oh, it's so easy. Oh, you want this much money? I could do it tomorrow. I could write you a check right now. And you're like, hey, that's a good idea. No, don't worry about it. Like, I've had people go, look at my bank account. It's got $1 million in it. And they're like, it's no big deal. That's just one of them. Those are always the people that back out. Always.
Yeah. Bruce Campbell did a book called If Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-Movie Actor. And he has this one great bit where he's talking about this guy who kept saying he knew a famous actor. Oh, John Travolta. He's like, I'm really good friends with John Travolta. I can get him in your movie. And so do you know what he did? He's
What?
okay, call him right now. It was like, I can't call him right now. And he's like, no, I mean, if you're such good friends with them, call him right now. You leave a message, say, hey, we've got these guys, whatever. And he's like, no, I don't want to disturb them. It's like, yeah, but if you leave a message, okay, fine. You get us John Travolta and we'll talk,
Right.
right? Like it gets to be that bit where you have to like kind of start understanding that like people lie in this industry all the time, and
They'll go so many lunches. Like, especially as a woman, I'll be like, I've been spending time with this dickhead, going to lunches and being buddies, like legitly liking him for 3 months. Like, we're and just talking shop, talking shop, talking shop. And then, there's no deal and the deal falls through and you never hear from them again.
and then you feel
But
fatter because of it, because you've just been eating all
I know, right?
know,
You've been eating all that.
like free food, and you're like,
Go
what
on
did
the
I get out of it? But like fucking diabetes,
I know
like
you have to go on the bullshit diet. That's my third shit reference. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
well,
I
there you
hate
go.
words.
That's a drinking game for our for our audience right there. Is every time Sadie says shit, you gotta drink. Um, but no, this is I mean, honestly, I adore you, Sadie, and I think everybody else that listens to you, like, all those reviews, you know what, they're just mad that they didn't come up with this idea and they didn't get a chance to meet Bill Murray and shit like that. I'll also say that I just you're gonna kill me on this, but I just watched Wrong Turn 6 for the first time.
Oh
Like
my
a couple
God.
days, like a little while ago, right before we were supposed to do our first podcast. And um it's funny, I'm not a huge Wrong Turn fan. Like I like the first one, and then the rest,
Sure.
they're not like,
They're insane. Yeah.
yeah, they're insane, but they're not really my style, which is fine. But and then I watched yours and I'm like, this does not feel like a Wrong Turn movie at all. Like this feels, other than the three, normal, Wrong Turn characters that are
Well,
in
they
it.
were redoing, like they were kind of trying to give the prologue, would be, yeah, prologue. They were trying to root it in like a little bit more. Frank Woodworth wrote it and to set up a little bit more. I'm sorry, my dog. A little bit more like history, like where did this come from? So now they've done the new reboot Wrong Turn, but it like Wrong Turn's supposed to be about like, unfortunately it's unapologetically about sex and really
And
crazy girls
incest and stuff.
and
Yeah.
incest. So I mean that's just what it was. And now they've like made it into a social justice warrior movie. And
I
I'm like, well, there's a billion of those. I don't know. And but
It felt more like the sequel, though. The reboot felt more like Midsummer than it felt like
yes,
a Wrong Turn movie.
They just use it. But I will say that's funny is when I first got the script, it's very undercover because people are really into this franchise, especially overseas. So they have me sign, all these waivers. I wait to get it delivered. It's a big fucking deal.
You had to sign an NDA, I'm sure,
Yes, but it'd be on that. 'Cause, you sign NDAs, but they wouldn't send it to my computer. So I have the hard copy of it. Someone like a runner brings it. And so I've already on contract, like this film's already mine and I'm so excited. But now I get to read the script. And you've seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm reading the script, I'm like this. And my son at the time was in 5th grade. I'm like, Griffin. I said, holy shit, don't be mad at me, but this is going to be insane. Like, we're going to have to talk about this. And then I get to the very end. And I'm like, is this a one leg fucking sex scene with my face melted off with my brother and the 3 guys watching me? Yes, it is. Am I going to do it? Yes, I will. Am I smothering someone with my pussy? Yes, I am. Like, I was like, holy shit.
So you weren't aware of any of that stuff before you got the script?
Well, I knew, like, look, they were very clear that there was nudity and simulated sex. And they, like, that was not. And I had a couple of callbacks where, like, they even required, they do this sometimes at callbacks, but, there was more people in the room for us to, like, do a body check with just our panties on. And a lot of that has to do with, they're not going to fly you to Bulgaria and then you decide you don't want to do nudity and you chicken out because, it's a big shoot. There's 100 people, 150
right.
people. So they want to see what's your attitude. Like, are you giggling? Are you like, or are you like, hey, what's up? I actually did it, like, because I wanted the part so damn bad. She's such a fun character, and the scenes I read, I just fucking loved.
Mm-hmm.
I just like whipped off my dress in the room and went, come on, y'all, what do I gotta do? Like,
right.
That's
a good attitude to have because, and you're right. I believe like Lloyd Kaufman, the guy who does Trauma and everything, he's actually developed a thing where he does the nudity first.
Yes.
Like he wants to get that out of the way. It's all whatever. Just because if you don't, sometimes because he's had it where he did it in the middle and they've had like maybe an hour worth of footage and the person goes, oh, I'm not going to do the nudity. And then you're either screwed because either you have to reshoot all of the stuff with that person or you just got to say, okay, well, I guess we're not doing nudity.
And then they're fighting. And here's I told people this. For me, it's fine, but I have I shot Megan in Italy and the scenes are with Randy Wayne I end up raping him and torturing him in the movie.
Fun.
It's kind of, it was super fun. And Randy's up for an Emmy award, a daytime Emmy right now. So that's
nice.
Dope. But what happened is I'm in Italy for like 3-4 weeks with the crew and the cast, which the cast was small, but I'm hanging out with them every day, all day because we're eating together. And then at night we're still together. So after about 2 weeks of shooting, Randy and I are like, fuck, we haven't done any of our nudity scenes. We haven't done the rape stuff, nothing. And I like put on well, you don't see it on camera, but I'm supposed to be putting on a dildo and raping him in the booty. So it's a gnarly scene. I'm crying. It's very serious. It's not, it's a real like intense thriller. And I realize I say to the crew, I'm like, they're English, but by this time I love them. I'm like, Jesus Christ, now we're friends. Be like all of a sudden we're friends. And then I go, okay, I'm just going to go like, now I'm going to get naked and pretend I'm having sex in front of you.
Right.
And we know each other. So I made a joke about it. And, everyone's English is at different levels. And I said, if I'm getting in my underwear tomorrow, you guys are getting in your underwear too. When I shoot, I want everyone in their underwear. So we're shooting and I've got my robe on, but I'm talking to Randy and the camera and the crew's behind me. And they only have the people that need to be in the room. So it's like 10 people, and our DP's a big guy, and it's a lot of men and a couple girls, and they go, Sadie. And I turn around and they are all in their bra and underwear. Or, the men are all in their underwear. And I was
If they
like,
were wearing bras, the men, I would have.
yeah, that would be weird. But I was like, that is fucking dope. The coolest. Like, it actually makes me choke up thinking about it. But yeah, that's the only time, like, if you're gonna, there's a lot of factors, but it also, like, I won't say who in Wrong Turn, but one of the actresses wanted to get out of it. The other blonde, his actually career is going very well, but she tried to get out of it after everyone had gotten naked in the movie. You saw the movie. The guys all have something crazy happen, and all the girls. And I was like, fuck you. Go do the nude scene right now. Like, you don't get to be Little Miss Priss after you agreed, and now you look like somehow like you're the Sarah Jessica Parker of Sex and the City who's too good for nudity. I'm like, hell no, go. Which may make me not a feminist, but as an actor in the movie, I was like, no, you have to.
Right. But you sign up for it, you do it.
It's a crazy film. Like, that's a crazy.
I will say I had two actresses who were supposed to have a lesbian sex scene, and they were gonna do topless, and everything, and that's what we agreed on. And then I chose not to do it, and it wasn't because whatever. It was a lot of because of time. It took a lot. We had only, like, I wanted to be wrapped by a certain time, and I knew it was gonna take a little longer. So we had a discussion, a powwow with the producers first. Then I spoke with the actresses, and they were like, they looked at me, and they were like, wow, this is the first time we were told to keep our shirts on, like, or whatever.
And things are a little different in the last few years, but I used to say to people in, like, these horror B movies or indie movies, I would look at them and go, you don't have any nudity in your film. It's going to be really hard to sell this. Now things are a little bit different. Like, it's not a thing, but I would go, you need to stick some titties in here. Like, the distributor is going to want that. It's not as intense like that because of movies like Midsummer. And, we've got a lot of these, like, kind of slower, more intense.
Well, but they also have nudity. Fucking in Midsummer had, like, full fucking frontal for male.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
you're right.
I mean, there was nudity in Midsummer. So I mean, like, some movies still have it, some people don't. Blumhouse doesn't. They do, like, PG-13 horror. They don't.
Yeah, but I think because their audience tends to be younger.
Right.
I like nudity in movies. It doesn't always have to be me being naked. I've done a lot of it because I think there's something really kind of titillating and fun when you've been watching an actress and you, like, all of a sudden that it makes the movie more real. You're like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to it necessarily. I'm opposed to, movies where it's gratuitous nudity all the time. Like, it's, where it's like, this person is nude, this person's nude, this person, you know what I mean? I just watched one that was made in 2009 recently that had it was just random, stuff happening. And I get it. You want to put nudity in your movie, but, like, does every girl have to be nude in this movie? Like, it feels too much sometimes.
Yeah, I did Bus Party to Hell, which is really fun. And
I love Bus Party to Hell.
And there's a lot of sex, and it's very gratuitous on my boobs. I didn't think were going to be there as much. However, that was the movie. Like, I would have actually thought that they could have pulled back on the outdoor orgy.
Right.
But yeah, I think those movies are fine. But if you're just doing, like, a killer through the woods and all the girls are running with their boobs out, it kind of ruins that. So yeah,
I think there's a time and place for certain things or whatever. I mean, I love Bus Party to Hell, but, like, yeah, I mean, nudity just seems to be very, big on a lot of those kind of movies. So
I'm watching it in the theater like this, like, wow, my boobs are in this a lot because I thought they would do close-ups, but of course it was like a medium shot. And I'm like, wow, my boobs are in this a lot. Like, and you're in a room like with 500 people because they had a big premiere in Vegas. And, you know, if people are looking back a little bit and you just have to go like,
Hi.
hey guys, like, you know, wrong turn. There's a huge premiere and, you know, the Q&A afterwards, I was like, well, I guess we all know each other very well.
Now they know
You
you
know how
very
crazy
well.
I am.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they got to see you smother somebody to death with your vajayjay. So, you know, like,
I know,
uh,
right?
oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
had a blast chatting with you and everything.
I do. Last
Um,
time I was on, I had a
I
blast.
know, and we got to get you on more for different stuff at some point. But you know, is there anything you need to plug right now? Is there a
You
movie
know
that's
what?
coming out?
Just follow on my Instagram. You know, it's like no one wants to tell you projects anymore. They don't want you to announce it too soon.
Right. Yeah. So there's
So
a
I
ton
have
of stuff
some,
that's happening, but
yeah, and you never know when it's coming out now because everything's delayed. But I do have some fun stuff that I'm really proud of coming out, and a couple things maybe I wish that I didn't make. Um, but either way, my Instagram is Sadie Katz, SADIEKATZ, like that.
okay. So just one word, you know, one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And hope everybody had a good time watching this. We'll be back with everything in August. So thank you guys for checking this out and have a good one. Bye.
You know?